The night was heavy with silence in the small town of Riverbend. The streetlights flickered, and the sound of footsteps echoed against the cracked pavement. Malik pulled his hoodie tighter, his hands shaking from more than just the cold. He wasn't supposed to be out this late, not after what had happened to Jamal last week. But something inside him told him to keep walking, to keep pushing forward, even when fear pressed against his chest. At the corner of 5th Street, he stopped. The wall was covered in graffiti, bright letters screaming words of pain and hope: "We rise, justice, never silent." Malik touched the paint, still fresh, and felt a strange fire spark in his chest. His cousin Maya had painted it. She said art was louder than bullets. But not everyone agreed. From the shadows, a car rolled slow, its headlights dim, its engine low like a growl. Malik froze. The window rolled down, and a white face appeared, sneering. "What are you doing out here, boy?" The voice was sharp, cutting, the kind that carried years of hate. Malik swallowed hard, his fists curling. He wanted to run, but he remembered Maya's words: "Fear is what they want. Courage is what we carry." The car crept closer, and Malik's heart pounded in his ears. For a moment, he thought this was it, the end of his story before it ever began. But then, from the alley behind him, Maya's voice cut through the night. "Leave him alone." Her voice was steady, unshaken. She stepped into the light, holding a spray can in one hand and her phone in the other, recording. The man's face twisted in anger, but when he noticed the red light of the camera, he spat to the ground, slammed the gas, and drove off into the night. Malik stood frozen, his body trembling. Maya walked to him, placing the spray can in his hand. "Your turn," she whispered. "Write something they can't erase." The next morning, sunlight spilled across Riverbend, but the glow felt thin, fragile, like it could be stolen at any moment. Malik stared at the wall, now filled with bold colors, his own shaky letters beside Maya's. It was small, but it was his mark. Still, whispers ran through the town, rumors that the men in the black car were part of something bigger, something dangerous. At school, the hallways buzzed with nervous voices. "They're watching," someone whispered near the lockers. "They want to make an example." Malik felt every word crawl into his skin. His teacher, Mr. Brown, gave him a long, knowing look, as if he understood the weight Malik carried. After class, Mr. Brown called him aside. "I saw the wall," he said softly. Malik's stomach flipped, unsure if this was trouble. But then Mr. Brown's eyes softened. "Do not stop. They want your silence." But silence has never built a future. That night, Malik couldn't sleep. He sat by the window, watching headlights crawl along the street, every shadow alive with threat. His mother worked the late shift at the diner, and his father was gone, locked away years ago for a crime Malik knew he didn't commit. Sometimes, the world felt like a cage that kept shrinking. But somewhere inside him, a spark grew. He thought of Jamal, Maya, and all the others whose voices had been stolen. And in the stillness of the night, Malik made himself a promise: "I will not break. I will not bow." The promise echoed through him like a drumbeat, steady and unshakable. The tension in Riverbend deepened the following week. Flyers appeared on doors and poles, threatening anyone who dared disturb the peace. Malik tore one down, crumpling it in his hand. It smelled of fear, but it burned like fuel in his chest. Maya wasn't afraid. She gathered a small group at the old library, a place nobody visited anymore. The walls smelled of dust and forgotten books, but inside, her voice carried. "They want us quiet. But our silence is the rope they tie around our future." The group was small, 6 kids, all tired, all restless. Malik watched them as Maya spoke, seeing the same fire flicker in their eyes. A plan began to form, risky and bold. They would take the fight beyond graffiti. They would tell their story, film it, and spread it so wide no one could ignore it. But danger lurked. Malik noticed a man outside the window, standing too still, watching. His stomach dropped. When he blinked, the man was gone, but the fear remained. On his way home, Malik felt the weight of footsteps behind him. He turned, but the street was empty. Only the wind whispered. Still, his heart raced, and the words of his promise beat in his head, "I will not break." When he reached his house, the door creaked open, and he froze. Someone had been inside. The living room light was still on, though Malik was sure he had turned it off before leaving. His heart thudded in his chest as he stepped inside. The air felt strange, heavier, like someone's breath still lingered in the corners. On the table, a folded piece of paper waited. Malik's hand shook as he opened it. In bold black ink were the words, "Stay silent, or next time we won't miss." His stomach dropped. He rushed to check the back door, unlocked. The fear was sharp, like ice running through his veins. Whoever left that note had been inside his home, in his space, where his mother would return in just a few hours. Malik wanted to crumble, to hide. But then he saw the wall in his mind, the glowing colors, the words that couldn't be erased. Fear was what they wanted. His promise whispered again, "I will not break." When Maya arrived later that night, he showed her the note. Her jaw tightened, but her eyes burned with something fierce. "Then we speak louder," she said. "If they want us silent, then silence is their weapon. Ours will be truth." Malik wanted to believe her strength, but a part of him wondered if speaking louder meant painting a target on their backs. The next day at school, things turned darker. Jamal's little brother, Chris, didn't show up to class. By lunch, whispers spread fast. Chris had been jumped on his way home, beaten until he couldn't walk. The message was clear. Malik sat at the cafeteria table, fists clenched so tight his nails dug into his palms. He could almost hear the men laughing, could almost feel their eyes on him. Rage burned hot, but fear still tried to choke it. Maya slammed her tray down beside him. "We don't back down," she said. "Not after this. They think they can break us one by one, but they don't know how many of us there are." That night, they gathered again at the library. Chris's older sister, Lena, showed up with tears on her face but fire in her voice. "They want us afraid," she said. "But my brother's pain won't be for nothing." For the first time, the group felt bigger, stronger. Ideas flew across the room. Videos, marches, even reaching out to groups outside Riverbend. Malik could see it now, the spark becoming a flame. But he also felt the shadows pressing closer. Somewhere out there, someone was watching. 2 nights later, Malik sat by the window, recording himself on Maya's camera. His voice was steady, even though his hands shook. "My name is Malik," he said. "And I'm tired of being told my life is worth less. They tell us to be quiet, but I refuse. This is our town too. This is our future too." When he finished, Maya uploaded the video. Within hours, it began spreading. Comments poured in, support, anger, stories from other towns. Malik read them all, heart pounding. For the first time, he felt less alone. But with the light came darkness. A new message appeared in his locker the next morning, "Take it down, or we'll take you down." Malik showed Maya, and she just shook her head. If they're threatening harder, it means they're scared. Still, Malik felt the weight of danger pressing closer. He noticed the black car again, parked across from his street, headlights off, waiting. Days passed like storm clouds. The tension in Riverbend was thick enough to choke on. Malik's mother found the note crumpled in his bag one night. She stared at him with wide, worried eyes. "Baby, what are you doing?" she whispered. He wanted to tell her everything, but the words stuck. How could he explain that silence was heavier than danger? That carrying fear alone was worse than facing it together. Instead, he hugged her, long and tight. "I'm okay, Mama," he whispered, though the lie burned in his throat. The next morning, as he walked to school, Malik felt a presence. Footsteps behind him. Quick, sharp. He turned and saw 2 men in dark coats following close. His chest tightened. He walked faster. So did they. Heart racing, Malik darted into an alley, his sneakers slapping against the wet ground. The men followed, their shadows stretching long. Panic clawed at his chest. He stumbled, then ran harder, the sound of their steps echoing louder. Just when he thought he'd be caught, a voice rang out, "This way!" Maya, standing at the alley's end, waving frantically. Malik sprinted toward her, lungs burning. They burst into the main street, where traffic roared and lights glared. The men stopped at the edge, watching with cold eyes before melting back into the shadows. Malik bent over, gasping, his whole body trembling. Maya's hand gripped his shoulder tight. "Now you know," she whispered. "This fight is bigger than us. But that means it matters." The next week, everything exploded. The video of Malik's speech was picked up by a major news site. Riverbend's name flashed across headlines. Some cheered. Others spit venom. The town split in two, those who wanted change and those who wanted silence. Flyers calling for a protest against hate were passed around, and people whispered about a march through the center of town. Malik felt pride swell in his chest, but also dread. Marches in Riverbend never ended peacefully. On the night before the march, Malik stood at the graffiti wall again. The colors glowed under the streetlight, every word a weapon of truth. He pressed his palm against the wall, closing his eyes. "I will not break." Behind him, Maya's voice broke the silence. "Tomorrow, everything changes. One way or another." Malik opened his eyes, staring at the bright letters that refused to fade. And for the first time, he believed it. That night, Malik couldn't sleep. Every sound felt like a threat. Every shadow seemed alive. He kept replaying the moment in the alley, the men's eyes drilling into him. At 3 a.m., his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "If you march, you die." Malik's breath caught. His hand shook so badly he almost dropped the phone. He stared at the screen, his heart pounding. The weight of choice pressed heavy on him. Stay silent and live? Or speak and risk everything? He thought of Jamal, of Chris, of his father behind bars. He thought of Maya's fire, of Lena's tears, of the words on the wall that refused to fade. And then he typed his reply, "See you there." The morning of the march came heavy with grey clouds. The town square, usually quiet, now buzzed with voices. Dozens of people gathered, young, old, black, white, all carrying signs painted with words that burned: "Justice, no more silence, we rise." Malik stood at the edge, his hoodie pulled up, his heart hammering. Beside him, Maya's hand gripped his tight. Across the street, others had gathered too, men with cold eyes, their arms crossed, their whispers sharp like knives. The air felt like it would crack in two. A police line stood in the middle, shields up, faces blank. Malik's stomach twisted. He remembered the message on his phone. He remembered the men who followed him. But then he saw Chris, limping but standing tall, holding a sign that shook in his small hands. Malik's chest filled with fire. The march began. Feet stomped, voices rose, the sound echoing off every wall. Malik shouted until his throat burned. For a moment, it felt like nothing could stop them, like their voices were stronger than fear itself. But then, chaos. From the crowd across the street, a glass bottle flew, shattering on the ground near Malik's feet. People screamed. Shoving erupted. The police line closed in, shields clashing. Malik grabbed Maya's arm, pulling her close as bodies crashed all around them. A hand shoved him hard. He stumbled, nearly falling. And in the blur of movement, he saw him, the man from the car, eyes locked on him, teeth clenched in rage. Malik froze. The man reached into his jacket. Time slowed. Malik's heart pounded in his ears. He thought of the message, "If you march, you die." He thought of his mother's worried eyes, of his father's voice echoing from old letters, "Never let them take your spirit." The man's hand pulled something dark from his jacket. Malik's breath caught. But before the man could move, a sound tore through the crowd, sirens, loud and piercing. Police rushed forward, pushing bodies apart. The man vanished in the chaos, swallowed by the sea of people. Malik's chest heaved, his knees weak. Maya pulled him behind a line of marchers, her face pale but fierce. They tried, she whispered. But they failed. The march scattered after that, the air thick with smoke and fear. People fled, some hurt, some crying. Malik and Maya made it to the edge of town, collapsing on the curb. His hand still shook. "They won't stop," Malik said, his voice cracking. "They'll keep coming." Maya turned to him, her eyes blazing. "Then so will we." That night, Riverbend burned with whispers. Some said the march was brave. Others said it was reckless. The news replayed clips of the chaos, spinning it in different ways, heroes to some, troublemakers to others. Malik sat in his room, staring at the cracked screen of his phone. Messages poured in, from strangers across the country. Support. Hate. Hope. Threats. It all mixed together until his head spun. His mother came into the room, her face lined with fear. She held his phone, her hand trembling. "Malik, they know who you are now." He swallowed hard. "I know." Her voice broke. "Baby, I can't lose you too." The word stabbed deep. He hugged her, holding on tight. For a moment, he felt like the child he used to be, safe in her arms. But deep down, he knew safety was gone. When she finally let go, Malik sat alone in the dark. His promise returned, louder than ever, "I will not break." He picked up his camera again. "You tried to scare me," he said into the lens. His voice shook, but he didn't stop. "You threatened me. You followed me. But here I am. I'm not going anywhere. And neither are we." He uploaded the video. His hands trembled, but his heart felt steady. The video spread faster than the first. It wasn't just words this time, it was defiance, fire in his eyes, truth in his voice. By morning, Riverbend was swarmed with cameras, reporters, strangers holding signs of support. But the shadows deepened too. More cars with dark windows rolled slow through the streets. Malik noticed new faces watching him at every corner. The feeling of being hunted never left. At school, the principal pulled him aside. "Malik, you've become a symbol," he said, his voice low. "Symbols inspire. But they also get targeted. Be careful." Malik nodded, though his stomach twisted tighter with every word. That night, as he walked home, the black car appeared again. This time, it didn't creep. It sped. Tires screeched as it swerved toward him. Malik dove to the side, rolling hard on the pavement. The car roared past, missing him by inches. He lay on the ground, his chest heaving, his body trembling. Then he saw it, spray-painted on the side of the car, a single word, "Enough." It wasn't just a warning anymore. It was a war. The attack sparked something unexpected. Word spread fast, Riverbend was not safe anymore. But instead of shrinking, the crowd grew. More people joined their side, voices rising, hands raised in unity. Maya stood in front of the graffiti wall, her voice carrying like fire. "They want us gone. But look around. We are still here." Malik felt the power of the crowd, the strength of voices merging into one. For the first time, the fear inside him loosened, replaced with something bigger, belief. Yet, in the corner of his eye, he still saw shadows watching. He knew the fight wasn't over. It was only beginning. He looked at Maya, then at the wall, then at the crowd. The promise burned stronger than ever in his chest. "I will not break. I will not bow. The future will hear us." And as the night fell over Riverbend, the echoes of their voices rose louder, refusing to fade.